For years, Ben Napier was the heart and soul of hometown. The big guy with the biggest smile, the neighbor everyone wished they had, the one no one thought could ever be broken. But then, something shifted. He began to disappear from the spotlight. Fans started asking the questions no one had answers to. Where's Ben? Why does he look so different? At first, the whispers were easy to dismiss. Until they weren't. Was he hiding a secret health scare? Was fame slowly unraveling the life he'd worked so hard to build? Or was it something even more painful? Something he never wanted the world to see? Now, the truth is finally out. And it's not what anyone imagined. Once you learn what really happened to Ben Napier, you'll never watch Hometown the same way again. Because while most people thought it was just another uplifting home renovation show, it was also the quiet stage where a very different kind of story was unfolding. To understand how things began to fall apart, we have to go back to where it all started. When Hometown first aired, no one expected it to become a sensation. It didn't have the flashy set pieces or the high-stakes drama that so many other shows relied on. It was different. It was calm, real, and full of heart. And that's exactly what made people fall in love with it. Set in the small town of Laurel, Mississippi, Hometown wasn't just about flipping houses. It was about restoring something deeper: memories, meaning, and a sense of place. Every home they touched wasn't just given a facelift. It was brought back to life. The worn-down walls and crooked floors weren't flaws. They were stories waiting to be retold. Ben and Erin Napier were the perfect storytellers. But what truly set Hometown apart wasn't just the renovations. It was the way they made viewers feel like part of the community. Watching an episode didn't feel like reality TV. It felt like a visit with old friends. Friends who happened to be really good with power tools and even better at making you feel something. Ben's easygoing, lumberjack warmth was the perfect match for Erin's creative spark and grounded vision. Together, they didn't just build houses. They created spaces that felt alive and deeply personal. Laurel itself became more than a backdrop. It became a character. Where other shows featured glitzy cities and fast-paced flips, Hometown focused on something quieter and richer: history, roots, and the kind of charm you can't manufacture. And people loved it. This wasn't a show about profits. It was about preserving the past and building towards something meaningful. Something that would last. But Hometown didn't blow up overnight. It started as a passion project, a local couple renovating homes in their beloved community. Then came the call from HGTV, a national platform. It seemed too good to be true. But it was real, and it changed everything. Before long, Hometown had a dedicated fanbase that tuned in for far more than design inspiration. They came for the people. They saw themselves in the families planting roots, in the tears of homeowners walking through a freshly restored front door. In a world that often feels rushed and disconnected, Hometown offered something slower, sweeter, and far more real. But as the show's popularity exploded, so did the demands behind the scenes. What began as a heartfelt love letter to a sleepy town quickly grew into a television empire. More shoots, longer hours, bigger stakes. And while everything still looked perfect on screen, not everything behind the camera stayed so simple. And that's where Ben Napier's story began to take a turn no one saw coming. Everything seemed to be moving along just fine, until suddenly, a scandal thrust Ben into a spotlight he never asked for. A scandal that left fans stunned. For the longest time, Hometown felt like a safe haven. It was all about good people, quiet living, and small-town pride. That's why, when Ben Napier's name surfaced in the middle of a massive Mississippi fraud scandal in 2022, fans were blindsided. It felt like the last thing anyone expected. In 2022, Mississippi found itself at the center of one of the largest welfare fraud scandals in U.S. history. Nearly $77 million in public assistance, money meant for the state's poorest families, had been siphoned off. Instead of going to those who needed it most, the money was diverted to high-profile individuals, vanity projects, and political favors. The scandal swept up 47 defendants, including NFL legend Brett Favre and former Governor Phil Bryant. It was ugly, it was explosive, and it left people angry, disillusioned, and demanding answers. One of the most talked about examples was the construction of a volleyball stadium at the University of Southern Mississippi, Favre's alma mater, where his daughter played. Leaked text messages revealed that Favre wanted assurances the public wouldn't know how the stadium was funded. As investigators released thousands of documents and texts, the public pored over every detail. That's when Ben Napier's name showed up. And the internet lit up like wildfire. Fans who adored Hometown were shocked. Ben, the humble craftsman with the warm smile and honest hands. How could he be tied to something this corrupt? Speculation spread like sparks. Social media buzzed with questions and doubt. Some fans feared that everything they believed about Ben and Erin might have been a facade. But here's where the truth matters, and where it's worth pausing before jumping to conclusions. Ben Napier's name was mentioned in the scandal documents, yes, but he wasn't accused of anything. His connection was vague and distant at best. In the released texts, Ben's name came up in passing, referenced by others in discussions about community events or potential partnerships in Laurel. There was no evidence he knew about the fraud, no sign he took part in it, and certainly no indication he profited from it. It was a textbook case of guilt by association, or maybe more accurately, guilt by casual mention. In scandals like this, any name that appears in the paperwork can easily be swept into the storm, even when they have absolutely nothing to hide. That's exactly what happened to Ben. He and Erin didn't rush to defend themselves. They didn't post statements, or jump into the drama. They stayed quiet, grounded, and let the facts speak for themselves. And eventually, they did. As investigators and the public dug deeper, it became clear. Ben Napier wasn't among the 47 people charged. He wasn't being investigated. He wasn't involved, at all. Still, for fans of Hometown, those few weeks were nerve-wracking. In a world where it seems every celebrity has a hidden scandal waiting to explode, the idea that someone like Ben could be swept up in corruption was hard to swallow. Thankfully, this was one of those rare times when the truth turned out to be far less dramatic than the rumors. Ben's reputation stayed intact. His quiet strength, his honesty, and his work ethic held up under the pressure. And for many fans, the ordeal only made them more fiercely loyal. It was a reminder that even good people can get caught in someone else's chaos, and walk away untarnished. But just when it seemed like the storm had passed, life threw Ben Napier another curveball. And this time, it wasn't about headlines or internet rumors. It was about something much deeper, much more personal. The shoulder injury that almost stopped him. At first, it was just little things. Fans noticed Ben Napier wasn't quite himself on Hometown. Sometimes he'd sit instead of stand. Sometimes Erin would carry the heavy pieces while Ben lingered in the background. It was subtle, but long-time viewers, the ones who'd watched every episode, saw it, and they started to worry. Is Ben okay? Why does he seem less active? What's going on? Social media lit up with concern. Comment sections filled with speculation. Some chalked it up to exhaustion from non-stop filming. Others feared something more serious. A few let their imaginations run wild. But the silence from the show only added fuel to the fire. Then, at last, the real story came out. And it was both painful and deeply human. Ben had been dealing with a serious shoulder injury for a long time. What began as a nagging ache had turned into something much worse, a bone spur grinding deeper into his shoulder joint. For months, he worked through the pain. Renovating homes, filming episodes, smiling through the discomfort. But pain doesn't care about camera schedules. It got worse, much worse. Imagine being known as the guy who can build anything with his hands, only to wake up one day and realize you can barely raise your arm. That's where Ben was. The pain was constant. Sleep became rare. Even everyday joys, like tossing Helen in the air or carrying May around the house, slipped out of reach. For someone like Ben, it wasn't just a physical setback. It hit him at his core. Doubt crept in. Was he still the strong, steady father and husband he wanted to be? Would he still be the Ben Napier fans had come to love on Hometown? In March 2023, he made the hard decision to get surgery. And it wasn't an easy one. There were risks. There were fears. What if it didn't work? What if recovery dragged on for months? But Erin was there, every step of the way, encouraging him, reminding him that it was okay to pause and heal. This wasn't about pride. It was about being well for the people who needed him. The surgery was intense. Ben went into it the only way he knew how, head on. Surgeons repaired the rotator cuff, shaved the bone spur, and cleaned up damaged cartilage. Someone whose hands are their livelihood, the stakes were high. Recovery wouldn't be quick or easy. He spent weeks in a sling, followed by grueling physical therapy to rebuild strength and movement. There were days that tested him. Days where progress felt invisible. Times when all he wanted was to get back to the workshop, to the rhythm of building and creating. But something incredible happened. Fans, the same ones who had been anxiously speculating, rallied behind him. Social media lit up with support. Encouraging messages poured in from across the country. People who had never met Ben personally stood by him, offering strength and kindness. The hardest part, Ben admitted, wasn't the surgery. It was not being able to do the work he loved. He missed the tools, the sawdust, the satisfaction of a job done with his own hands. Erin, always watchful, shared how she still held her breath every time Ben pushed himself too far, too soon. But slowly, steadily, Ben started fighting his way back. The man who once wondered if he'd ever be able to carry his daughters again found himself lifting them with ease. Ben returned to woodworking, picking up his tools with a newfound sense of gratitude. He stepped back onto the hometown set, not just as the Ben Napier people remembered, but as someone who had weathered a storm and emerged stronger. Seeing Ben back on the show, smiling, laughing, and building beautiful homes alongside Erin felt like a triumph, not just for him, but for everyone who had been rooting for him. It was a reminder that even the strongest among us can struggle, and that it's okay to lean on the people who love us when we need to heal. Ben's health battle may not have unfolded in dramatic headlines or gossip columns, but for the fans of Hometown, it was one of the most real, relatable, and inspiring parts of his journey. As Ben and Erin continued to pour their hearts into their hometown projects, something even bigger was unfolding behind the scenes, a blend of family milestones and unforgettable memories. But what happens when those moments, full of joy and love, come with a sense of bittersweet farewell? As we dive deeper into Ben and Erin Napier's journey, it's impossible to overlook the emotional layer their work on Hometown brings to their personal lives. These renovations weren't just about updating old homes. They were stories of love, family, and the passage of time woven into the walls of each house. It's these tender moments, hidden beneath every beam and brick they touched, that truly defined who they were, both as individuals and as a couple. One project, in particular, stands out, not only because of the renovation, but because of the life-altering changes happening in Ben and Erin's lives and those of their family. It all began with a house renovation for Ben's brother, Jesse, and his wife, Lauren. This wasn't just another job. It was a labor of love. The couple had recently moved to Laurel, and Ben and Erin were eager to help them turn their house into a home. What made it even more special was the news both families had to share as the renovation progressed. While Jesse and Lauren were expecting their first child, Ben and Erin revealed they were also expecting their second, making their children cousins born just weeks apart. The episode, aptly titled Family Values, showcased not only the deep familial ties between the two families but also the joy of raising children in a close-knit community. As for the renovation itself, it was the perfect blend of Ben's craftsmanship and Erin's design sensibility, making the house feel warm and welcoming. Like a true reflection of Jesse, and from the retro kitchen to the cozy nursery, every corner of the house told a story of love, family, and new beginning. Fast forward to 2025, and Jesse and Lauren decided to move to a larger property to raise their children with more space to roam. For Ben and Erin, it wasn't just another project, it was a home filled with cherished memories. Erin shared the bittersweet moment on social media, reflecting on the many family dinners and playdates held there. "I won't be able to look at this one vacant," Erin wrote, praying for a family to love it as they did. Ben echoed her sentiments, noting how the green cottage had seen Christmases, new babies, and countless cups of coffee with his mom. For Ben and Erin, every renovation is more than just design. It's about family and the unspoken moments that create a life full of love. The house for Jesse was a perfect example of how their love for family and their community blended into everything they do. But just when it seemed like they might slow down, Ben and Erin shocked everyone with their biggest project yet: revitalizing the entire town of Sebring, Florida. More than just sprucing up buildings, Sebring needed a lifeline, and Ben and Erin were ready to lead the charge. Sebring, Florida, had been battered by hurricanes and economic struggles. Abandoned homes and shuttered businesses left it in need of a lifeline. Ben's leadership took center stage in a massive transformation, with over a dozen major projects planned to rebuild homes, revive historic buildings, and breathe life into small businesses and public spaces. This was the challenge that motivated Ben. His ability to dream big and break down huge goals into achievable steps made him the perfect leader for Sebring's makeover. The powerhouse team of HGTV and Food Network stars, they brought excitement and expertise to every project, including renovations for local leaders, a historic kindergarten teacher's house, and additions like a cozy gazebo in the park. But rebuilding a community wasn't just about surface-level changes. It was about earning trust, respecting stories, and offering new beginnings. Ben led with purpose, inspiring the team to elevate their efforts. For him, it wasn't just about construction, it was about heart and resilience. Sebring didn't just get a facelift, it got a second chance. Erin summed it up: "We're using everything we've learned to keep this town's heart beating." And as the season unfolded, it became clear. Sebring thrived, not just because of the renovation, but because Ben and Erin poured their hearts into it, making it a true mission. Ben and Erin's determination and creativity turned Sebring from a community struggling with hurricanes and economic hardship into a thriving town. Their focus has always been more than fame. It's about building communities, one brick at a time. Their work in Sebring proves that with hard work, heart, and southern grit, even the most broken places can be revitalized. And just when you thought their journey was over, they proved there's more to come. Hometown has grown into an HGTV empire, and with season 9 airing and 32 new episodes ordered through 2027, Ben and Erin's impact is far from finished. What makes Hometown so special isn't just the design work, it's Ben and Erin's genuine chemistry, which viewers feel in every episode. It's warm, real, and inviting. Their commitment to restoring homes and communities in Laurel, Mississippi, brings comfort and hope to viewers, especially those whose own hometowns have faced challenges. It's not about the biggest budgets or trendiest designs, it's about heart. Ben and Erin's ability to connect with their community, deliver meaningful moments like renovating their alma mater, and keep fans engaged with their authenticity, has kept Hometown a fan favorite. Their journey is just beginning, and the best is yet to come. Watching Erin get emotional during a reveal and seeing Ben beam with pride felt like being part of a personal family moment, not just a TV show. Season 7's renovation of the old president's house at Jones College, where Ben and Erin first met, was another unforgettable moment that showcased how Hometown goes beyond design. It's about remembering where you came from, finding beauty in overlooked places, and believing that small acts still matter. Whether it's Erin choosing colors to honor a homeowner's memories or Ben building a custom table from reclaimed wood, their work is about telling stories and preserving history. Projects make people believe in the sacredness of home. Even after 9 seasons, Hometown has only gotten stronger. The realness of Ben and Erin keeps fans returning. There's no drama, just two people with paint on their jeans, a love for their town, and a deep commitment to their work. This authenticity keeps viewers coming back because, every season, it feels like coming home. The new multi-year deal and 32 episodes in the pipeline, the future of Hometown is brighter than ever. And with Ben and Erin staying true to themselves, the journey is just beginning. There are still more homes to rescue, stories to tell, and lives to touch. Despite the challenges Ben has faced, including undeserved scandals, his unwavering dedication has made him the steady, creative heart of Hometown. He never asked for fame, just to make things better, one brick at a time. That quiet strength is what makes him unforgettable. Now, we want to hear from you. If you were in Ben's shoes, how would you have handled everything he faced? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.